Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today is a review of Clive Christian's C. This one gets compared to Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather. Tuscan Leather came first. So with this one, when you first apply this, it's going to immediately remind you of Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather for sure. I don't think anyone will dispute the fact that it reminds you of Tuscan Leather. The differences with this to me is that the leather note in here smells a little bit more realistic than the Tom Ford. I get more of a kind of an aged, kind of cracked brown leather with this, whereas Tom Ford is more kind of a soft suede leather. This has a more pronounced leather note in my opinion, and it's slightly less sweet. Tom Ford's is a little bit more slightly fruity tone with a raspberry kind of top note. This doesn't quite have the same kind of sweetness. This one does feel maybe just a little bit more nuanced, to be honest, than Tom Ford, and I'm the biggest fan of Tuscan Leather. It's my favourite fragrance, but comparing them side by side, that you can pick out more nuances in the Clive Christian. So it is slightly more nuanced, maybe a little bit more complex, a little bit more realistic in the leather smell. People describe having oud in this perfume. Personally, I don't get that at all. I don't smell oud in any kind of big degree. I can kind of get what people are saying, but to me, the impression I get is that it's the way that the leather note smells mixing with these resinous notes that are in the base. There's also gaiac and other kind of woody notes in here, tobacco as well. But it's these combination of resins and leather accord that people are saying, I think, is their impression of oud. Like I say, I don't smell oud personally. I don't think this is an oud fragrance at all. I don't get that nuance. I get brown leather, resins, combining beautifully with a little bit of sweetness. When it gets to like the 30-minute mark is when I would say it's the most similar to Tom Ford, to the point where the average person on the street I don't think would tell the difference, to be like completely honest. I think a trained nose or someone that collects perfume and is familiar with them properly will be able to tell the difference for sure. There are differences, but the general kind of vibe in the air for most people in the world, they'll just think it's the same smell. They are quite close. As it dries down, the Clive Christian's a little bit smoother, a little bit richer, just a little bit more maybe refined, I would say, and it's actually longer lasting than the Tom Ford in direct comparison. In terms of performance for this, I get between 8 to 10 hours on my skin, and it outperformed the Tom Ford. I would say that the sillage and projection though was actually closer to the skin than Tuscan Leather is. It sits closer, but it's longer lasting. I would say it's a beautiful fragrance. I like it because I love the original Tuscan Leather, but I don't think I would buy a bottle, honestly, just because it's so expensive for such a little bottle, and when it does smell very similar to Tuscan Leather. You're buying it because of maybe the extra nuances, and it's a little bit more detailed and it's a little bit more refined, but really, like I say, for the average person on the street, it smells the same. So you're only buying it for your own kind of, I like those little nuances, and for me, I wouldn't personally spend the extra money just for those little extra nuances. It's a well-blended perfume. It smells lovely. It's in the same direction as Tuscan Leather. A little bit more leathery, a little bit more nuanced, a little darker and a little less sweet. Maybe a little more mature than Tuscan Leather in comparison. My personal opinion is that the idea of the oud is heavily influenced by the fact that it's actually officially listed on the note breakdown. They list it as a note, and so people that want to buy the fragrance are reading the note list and they're going, oh, there's oud in there, and then they smell it and they go, oh yeah. It's influencing you into believing that you smell oud because they tell you that it's there. This happens a lot with fragrances that have certain notes in the list that actually, it's like it gives you the impression that you smell it. And so with this, that's what I feel like is happening. I think, personally, my personal belief is if Clive Christian hadn't listed oud in the note breakdown, it wasn't anywhere in the notes, how many people would say they can smell oud? Honestly, how many people would go, I smell oud in this? Like, it wouldn't happen because you're influenced by the notes. So for me, it is definitely more the leather and the resins giving an impression, combining with the idea that you think oud is in there, that tells you, this smells like oud. Like, I just don't get it. For me, it's the leather accord giving that impression in the fragrance. And I don't think anyone would say they could smell oud if it wasn't listed on the note breakdown. So it's more of an illusion or an impression for me. But that's my personal opinion. People might not agree with that. I would say it's unisex personally. As I say that with Tom Ford's Tuscan leather, I would love a woman to smell like that. I think it's quite sexy, it's beautiful. Colder weather fragrance, and that's my take. Let me know what your thoughts on it, if you prefer it to Tuscan leather or you don't like it as much, and I'll see you soon with another video. Take care everyone, bye. I smell oud in this. I smell oud in this. I smell oud in this. Oud in. I smell oud in this. Oud in.